What's going on, everybody? We're back once again with another edition of Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast. It is Thursday, August 24th, a Throwback Thursday. We have a very sad topic for you guys on our Throwback Thursday. Rest in peace to Terry Funk, an absolute legend of professional wrestling, the legend, the only true desperado. And we will get into that at the end of the show. But before we do, we are going to break down everything on the Go Home Dynamite, as well as what it looks like headed into All In. Let's get to it. First, I'm going to introduce my co-host for today. We've got Anthony Ricciardi out of Philly, head of opinions. How are you on this fine Thursday, my friend, all things considered?
I'm doing all right. It's wild to me that this is the third one that we've had to do in so many months. We did Superstar Billy Graham, Iron Sheik, and now Terry Funk. It's a shame to see yet another legend go. But obviously we're going to get into that. And then the Go Home Dynamite, their last chance on a Wednesday to sell their pay-per-view this weekend, and we'll be getting into that too.
Absolutely, for sure. And then also with us today, my Tuesday night rider over on Wrestling Off the Air, brought to you by Wrestling Republic. Alongside Drizzy, we've got Shad. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing good. Definitely more, somber spirits. Yeah. Rest in peace, Terry Funk. But we're here to celebrate his life. We're here to talk about AEW Dynamite. It's the weekend, man. We got a lot of wrestling going on, so I'm excited for it.
I'm with you, man. And yeah, it is one of those things where Terry Funk being such a legend, it's obviously tragic and it's somber, but we're going to try to have fun on the show because we have such a huge weekend of wrestling coming up. And I think that's what Terry would want anyway, right? I mean, that's Terry Funk loved the business as much as anybody that ever laced up a pair of boots. And something like seeing Wembley Stadium full this weekend, I know would make that man smile for sure. And with that, we got a couple comments. Bobby Bettino, how are you, my friend? Good to see you. Good to have you. You're doing well. Awesome. Thank you for hanging in there with us for sure. But let's get into the first topic from Dynamite last night. Let's talk about Moxley versus Rey Fenix. And then, of course, the re-debut, the return of Santana and Ortiz. And before we do that, earlier in the week, a good friend of mine, Mr. Ben Allison, said it's not possible. They won't work together again. We don't do spoilers on this website. We don't do it. So we didn't say that, but he said it to me. And I said, nope, I got a feeling. And I'll tell you what, that feeling was right. Proud and Powerful is back as a unit and one of, in my opinion, the best tag teams on this planet is ready to go again and healthy for the first time in years. I'm excited to see what they can do about it. Anthony, talk to me about Moxley and Phoenix first, but what do you think about the return of Santana and Ortiz?
I gotta be honest, the match itself was, I wasn't overly crazy about it. I know why this was set up. There's rumors. I know we don't get into that, but there's rumors that they needed to write Phoenix out for various issues, why he can't do All In. But it was about Santana and Ortiz, the former LAX tag team, Proud and Powerful, getting them back is a huge boost to the tag division. I know there was talk, they had issues that they wouldn't work together or whatever. That was a long time ago. Now I am curious to see them interact. They really didn't interact much last night. I mean, they were there, but they didn't really have a moment. So I'm curious to see where they go with it. Obviously, it's a huge boost if presumably they're going to be a part of All In. I think that's a good move for them.
Absolutely. I'm with you on that. And we got another comment here from Bobby Petito. I'd like to see Santana and Ortiz have a title reign in AEW. Me too, my friend. Absolutely. I think it's a long time coming. I think it was a shame Santana tore the ACL. That's a tough injury, tough injury to rehab, especially as bad as it was torn non-contact wise. We saw what happened with Odell Beckham sitting out last season in the NFL. Very similar injury, the way that happened at Blood and Guts. And, that's something you just can't control, but firing on all cylinders, there's no one in my eyes that is head and shoulders better than Proud and Powerful. They can be the best tag team on this planet if they're firing on all cylinders. And I'm just stoked to have them back in AEW, a company that I've always felt like was built on the tag division. Shad, what did you think of the match, and how do you feel about the return of Proud and Powerful LAX and Ortiz?
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm definitely well, I'll start with the match. I thought the match was pretty solid. You're always gonna get, great matches when you got someone as incredible as Rey Fenix in the ring and the Jon Moxley. And, obviously I don't want to speculate off of stuff that may be rumors, but the rumor mill is, that there are some wrestlers that may not be able to make the trip out to Wembley. If this is the case for Rey Fenix, I thought this was a very good way to kind of write him off. I mean, you gain a lot of heat from the BCC and Moxley. I mean, he's just, absolutely manhandling Rey at the end of the match, having him just choking him out and having him lose his air and faint, and, them having to stretcher him out. I thought it was a good way to still have Rey as a competitor, someone with honor, but still, just not having enough and making Moxley kind of look more of a savage and more of a heel persona. So I thought it played its part pretty well. In regards to re-debut of Santana and Ortiz, I loved it, man. I felt like this was possibly the two wrestlers that were going to come as the last two spots, but you never know what happens. You never know how it can go. But I thought it was the best way to do it because, I mean, these two were main stage tag teams at the start of AEW, and you have a show like this, it's only right you have them on a show of this magnitude. We haven't seen them, we haven't seen Santana in like almost a year, you said, with the ACL injury. I mean, bro looking strong now, man. He's looking in good shape, and it's good to see him in, just good spirits with that. I don't want to speculate on what goes on between them two outside of wrestling. But if they, truly do have issues, it shows you that they're men that understand the business and understand the importance of what they can do. And if this does mean that these two are back in the limelight as a tag team, like Bobby said, I would love to see them get an opportunity to eventually get some tag team gold, because I was hoping for it the longest time. It's always been a weird situation with them because they've always been tied to the whole JAS and Inner Circle with Jericho. I feel like they're broken free out of it now. We can go through this match and you let them have a good dominant run in as a tag team, eventually maybe get the titles. I think it'd be a great thing.
I agree. Ortiz with the speedball never gets old to me. I love it. It's just such a great old school. It's very New York City. It's just awesome. And then you have Santana's return too. And together, it's a team that I've always believed should be in that FTR, Bucks, and rest in peace, Jay Briscoe's mix. Those were the four to me that would have just, I mean, I understand what happened with the Briscoes, but and rest in peace, Jay, amazing. But at the end of the day, Proud and Powerful, FTR, Bucks, those are the three outside of the WWE that I just look at it like, man, you stardom. Such great teamwork and legitimate tag wrestling,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
Like not two individuals thrown together. And I love Sammy and Kevin and their friendship. And I think they're more of between what I'm criticizing more of the thrown together tag team type deal.
Oh,
The Acclaim,
it's like the Usos. Like the Usos are a tag team like that.
Classic tag team, exactly, right? Like
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, and that's where just to have the idea of Santana going down with that injury and not being able to return with Ortiz as the team that's that strong would have been disheartening in my eyes. I think it just, too much. We've got a couple more comments here. Matt Williams, shout out. How have you been? Didn't watch a second. AEW has no chance competing with Big Brother. Expected. Yes. Okay. And then Bobby Petito with I still miss Jay Briscoe. So do we all, man.
We
Absolutely.
all do, Bobby.
No
we
doubt.
All do.
We all do. I'm with you there. With that, though, let's move into the Will Ospreay Jericho contract signing. And this is something that, I would say is one of Jericho's strengths, but not necessarily Ospreay's. This type of promo, maybe in America at least, right? Ospreay stole the show in my eyes. Man, was he rock solid on the mic. I did not see that coming. That is not what I expected was for him to hang with Jericho. I don't want to give Chris Jericho credit for maybe helping him there, but maybe because a lot of things that Chris Jericho does turns to gold, and he is that self-aware. And I don't want to give him credit for how great Ospreay was. First, Ospreay his flowers, but Jericho playing the other side did almost just as good a job. For a contract signing, I truly enjoyed this. Did you feel similarly, Anthony, or did you have any criticism of this one?
No, I mean, I've been a big Ospreay fan for a long time, and I think I've said it on the show. To me, I think Shawn Michaels is the GOAT. After Shawn, it was AJ for me, and followed by Ospreay. I think Ospreay is one of those level performers that, he started out as a light heavyweight guy, junior heavyweight guy, and completely reinvented himself. And the character, the Kingpin, he is, in my opinion, the best that is in the business today. He can have a great match with pretty much anybody. So seeing him show the fire, the realism in it, I mean, it was the first I heard that he was married and he had a kid. The passion that he showed in that promo, that this is about him. It's about him making a name in this business and using Jericho as the next stepping stone to his next major contract. Because everyone's talking about MJF 2024. No one was or at least it wasn't common knowledge that in 6 months' time, Ospreay 2024 is a possibility too. Ospreay's one of the best, and with that fiery promo, to me, it gives me even more interest in the match at All In. For me, there's a couple matches that I feel like are must see, and that's one of them. And if that match doesn't deliver, it's not going to be because of Ospreay. It's going to be because Jericho can't keep up. I think Ospreay is going to deliver an absolute amazing performance. I'm just hoping Jericho can keep up with him.
I hear you there. I just feel like this is one of those where Jericho is such a smart professional wrestler and knows his own limitations that if Ospreay can't work Jericho and get that pace right, come on, like that is on him too. I think.
I honestly, I've seen Ospreay work all different styles. He's made it work. With a variety of opponents. Last January, he took on January 2022. In a matter of 1 month, he took on Okada, Brian Cage, and Michael Oku. 3 completely different styles, and had 3 unbelievable matches with all 3 guys in a matter of a couple weeks. Ospreay's got it in him. I'm just curious whether or not Jericho's going to be able to do enough smoke and mirrors to make it work.
I think he can. I think of all people, I would have faith in Jericho with Ospreay. I think that's why Tony Khan booked this match in the first place, Anthony, right? I think the idea was you got to get Jericho in there with a big name.
I think
Ospreay can work with anyone. Jericho can probably benefit Ospreay in the long run in certain areas by just working together.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely.
And I think that one I have the most faith in almost of any match on the card for delivering in a weird way.
Part of me wondered whether or not I originally thought they were going to do Omega Osprey 3, but
Which would have been wild.
but part of me wonders whether or not the other one didn't want to lose, so they left it at 1-1.
Right.
That's part of my thought.
That makes a lot of sense too, by the way, there, Anthony. Shaw, do you have anything to add to that one?
Not too much, man. I'll say this. Will Ospreay's promo last night, like you guys said, super fiery, man. The blur lines of, talking about your reality of life to it makes it hit even harder. Him trying to look out for his child, talking about just earning his respect, man. This guy talking about his, these series of matches he's had in these last few months. And I said it prior before, this is a legacy match for Will Ospreay because Chris Jericho arguably is a Mount Rushmore wrestler. This is probably a dude he look up watching when he was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
So you get that opportunity at Wembley Stadium with 80,000 people, man. Super happy for him. Super proud of him, man. That's all I can say.
I'm totally with you there. And with that, let's talk about Darby Allin and Nick Wayne. I really loved the segment last week showing up at Nick Wayne's house, basically, right? I loved it. I enjoyed it. I like the follow-up just as much. Although, what are they doing with our guy, AR Fox? What are we doing here? Dang it. I thought we finally had a great spot for AR Fox, and then Swerve's got to go and just get in his face and ruin it all for me. Shad, I'm going to toss it to you. Did you enjoy the segment? Did you enjoy the match? But more importantly, what are we doing with AR Fox?
I absolutely hated the segment. I like the match. I hated almost everything about this segment. The part that was good was not good to me just because I hated what led to it. You spent these last few weeks, you had that moment where they went into this kid's dojo and just beat him to a bloody pulp, and you created this new persona. You gave a wrestler as talented as AR Fox. You tied him with one of the master heels on a roster, and you just end it this quickly. Like, I don't know what the optics is to why it may happen. Maybe it may be tied to AR Fox can't travel over to the UK, but like, you got to think of the long term, man. Like, this is something that you just took all full momentum out of a wrestler. Like, AR Fox was a guy who was just eating L's after L's prior to this, and you have him eat an L last night, and then you take his entire, like, storyline away from him. Like, I know it was in Atlanta, and you wanted to maybe have the moment with him and Darby, but nah, man, like, this isn't what you do. Like, you keep building it. You had something good going with the embassy. You had something good going with him as a character. And then I was so excited for him to have that moment at Wembley going against Sting. You could have, even if he wasn't able to wrestle, you could have moved it a different direction. You didn't have to take him out of the entire storyline and take him out of the faction, because what's he going to do now? Like, you made him look like a big loser last night. He got fired by Prince Nana in front of all these people. Like, no one's going to connect to him. No one's going to have sympathy for him. Like, you took all momentum out of this kid, and I don't like it at all, man, because I was so excited to see what the direction was going to be with him and Swerve. This made the show, like, I'll be real with you, it made me almost want to tune off the entire show. Like, I couldn't watch the rest of the show with as much excitement after I saw that. Like, I was so mad. Like, if you follow me on Twitter, pardon my French, I was kind of going off. So I hated this segment. This segment got a 0 out of 5 stars for me.
Shad, thank you. Because I had a hard time with the intro because that's what I wanted to say. But I had a feeling, because you and I are both huge AR Fox fans, that you would have the same view as me.
And don't get me wrong.
Like, I'm just going to let Shad say it instead of me.
Don't get me wrong. I must say this. Christian Cage is incredible. This is what he's good at. He has some sort of, issue with people with dead fathers, and he likes to, poke the bear at them and talk about it. It's typical Christian Cage stuff, but it doesn't. I like storylines that connect together. This is something that's just thrown randomly. Like, I know that Darby got the feud with Luchasaurus and they're intertwining it, but nah, man.
It makes no sense to me. It makes no damn sense, for lack of a better way to put it. You had something absolutely beautiful with the AR Fox partnership with Swerve. He was the perfect. I mean, we've already worked through Parker Bordeaux and the tattoo face baseball player.
AR Fox was the best person that the embassy
Fox
had.
I mean, the other two are gone. Then the embassy comes around, and then they get AR Fox, and it's like it makes no sense in the world to me. We've got a couple comments. Or not even a couple. We just got this one. Do you think they should have done some sort of injury angle or anything else besides just undoing the heel turn for AR Fox? And on Superfly, absolutely anything else.
It is like they looked at the criticism they got from the Chainsaw Massacre last week and went, we'll do something worse. I don't understand the logic here. Like, if the long-term booking was to always do this, that is the dumbest thing imaginable. But if this was a situation where he couldn't get a passport or whatever the story is, how do you not know this far out? Why would you book this? You would have been better off of just saying, Swerve and a mystery partner will take on Darby and Sting at the event. Then if AR Fox is not available, no harm, no foul. Instead, you crap on everything you did. Literally everything you did was meaningless. So AR Fox is a part of a group that beats a 19-year-old kid down, leaves him bloody. Darby's like, hey, hug me, bro. They screwed you over. Now we're friends again. So incredibly dumb. As a longtime fan, it makes no sense. And that stuff like that aggravates me because that's booking 101. This was not logical. It made no sense. It doesn't add anything. No one's going to be excited about Brian Cage and Swerve now tagging. No one cares. They've tried to push Brian Cage before. No one cares. You've literally took a heated rivalry and went, let's do this. It'll be the same thing. It's not. It was not good. It was just completely dumb.
I'm so happy, by the way. You guys, between the three of us, I don't know that we've ever covered a topic more cleanly than that one. Because
2 weeks ago, we were all
frustrating
talking about how much we love that segment.
So excited.
Them beating up. And this is what you do 2 weeks later?
Shad, if you remember, I fought for that topic to be included that week.
Yeah.
I knew we would all love it.
We were like, we loved it.
Oh my God, you're right. This is what happens.
Doing what?
No.
Just crap. It's not fun. But let's talk about something that actually is fun.
Uh-huh.
This one is fun. Our guy, Billy Gunn, made his return, and not just as Daddy Ass. We're talking about not the one Billy Gunn either, the badass Billy Gunn, the real Billy Gunn, the full Billy Gunn is back. The one that Road Dogg always talked about so eloquently in all those intros. That's who's coming back, and that's who we're going to see it all in. And this story was told so much better. So much better. And I really didn't think it was when they did the weird boots segment. Then the AR Fox and Swerve story with Nick Wayne and Darby. This story makes sense. I love it. They brought the big man out, and we've talked a lot about retirement matches and stuff of late. If this is Billy Gunn's real retirement match, it'll be awesome, and he's going to wrestle it as Billy Gunn. Anthony, are you stoked for it? And were you as stoked as I was for the return?
I mean, Clark, you and I think, talked about this off air that we didn't think Billy Gunn was retired. When we talked about, even when we did the throwback, I think it was you and I think it was just you and I. We kind of went, I don't really think he's just going to retire on a Collision. It was Collision, I think, right?
I believe,
Wasn't
yes.
Collision? Yeah,
it was a Collision episode.
Yeah, I was like, it's going to be a pay-per-view, whether it's all in, whether it's all out. It's going to be one of those. I mean, we don't even know if this is technically the quote-unquote retirement match, but when he's close to 50, it's probably going to be soon. If it's not, I'm hoping they nail this and do this well. As excited as we were with the AR Fox stuff, and they completely crept the bed on that, Let me just put it. I will say I'm cautiously optimistic that this may land, but at the same point, I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know if they would turn around and give him a title reign before he retires, or they lose. I keep thinking back to, was it All Out last year when the crowd really wanted the Acclaim to win, and they should have called an audible and they didn't. Wasn't it All Out, Clark? Because you were there when they had the tag title match, the Acclaimed.
Yes, that was at All Out 22. Yes.
Yeah,
that
so it was
Keith
last
Lee
year.
And Swerve.
Yeah, that was the one that they should have called the audible because of the way the crowd was. Because it made it worse because a couple of weeks later, then
we were scorching for the Acclaimed.
Yes.
I will say this. Interestingly enough, in the arena, as much as the audible should have been called, and not to halt your momentum.
Yeah.
In hindsight, I do actually think it would have been a tough audible to call because of the way they had set up the finish. It would have taken like a lot of, I think, years of experience, and we're talking about so much youth on the one side that I really think that's a tough audible to actually call. But I'm with you. I'm sorry.
I still think they could have done it, especially because then they did it. They did it after at a different event shortly thereafter. I forget which episode or what event they did it at, but it's like one of those ones. That crowd was so hot for that, and as a whole, All Out 22 was not All Out 21 as far as iconic, as memorable. Like it did not, like that could have been a really major moment for them. Now, granted, it probably would have been overshadowed by the Punk thing that overshadowed everything anyway, but in the moment, it could have been really something special.
In an odd way, though, there is the flips, not to be devil's advocate here, but engagement wise, All Out 22 is pretty often talked about. It's not necessarily famous, but it's infamous in that way that it's spoken about so often, and it keeps AEW in relevant conversations all of the time. But especially given the way that Punk's return played out, right?
Clark,
a lot of people, I mean, like my dad, for example, right? Casual fan, and he, big question was, is Punk ever going to come back? Answer was usually, I don't know, but I think so. And then when he did, it was a big deal, right? Like, and that's part of pro wrestling as much as anything is.
The only thing is, I would say, like 21 for me, All Out 21.
Oh, it's the best.
In a lot of ways, it's like WrestleMania 17 for us, in the sense that it's like it's viewed as the best Mania, or the best or the best. You know what I mean?
Outstanding. Yes.
You know what I mean? Like from top to bottom. That's how I view it. Like that's when I meant like it wasn't the same. I mean, it's impossible to do.
There was no criticism. But it was really hard to criticize. It was All Out 21.
And it had a feel to it.
Well, my favorite was like people that would do like Christian and Kenny was only okay. And it was like, what do you mean? That match was awesome. Like the spear through the table spot was great. Christian had won the Impact title and pinned Kenny recently enough that was relevant. Even if you're going to nitpick that direction, like there's nothing wrong with that main event. And then they doubled down on debuts.
Yeah, you had back-to-back debuts, and you guys all know this. You've been watching long enough. You can't really describe it, but going into certain events, you get a feel for it. Like this is must see. It feels different, and it's rare when you get that. But you just know, like fans get it. Like it's just especially if you watch a long time, it's a feeling. I had it with the original All In.
Yeah.
Leading usually Mania time.
You
Rumble,
just know you're like, they got this one right.
Like All Out with the 21. That was one leading into it where I felt like I need to buy and see this event. And that was before you and I even knew each other, Clark.
Of course.
But it was like that was the first AEW one where I went, I need to buy this. I don't know.
I mean, I'll never forget the cage match. That live, like when Phoenix went up, because that cage is one of the highest cages I've ever seen in person. And I've seen a lot of like WWE cage matches too. This thing was like way tall. I don't think they've ever used this one again. But when he got up there and from the floor and the leap spot, holding the cable, I don't think I wasn't a pro wrestling fan at that moment. I was just nervous for like his safety.
I think
Like genuinely.
I think height wise, and I could be completely wrong on this. It was probably the equivalent of the height of maybe the Hell in a Cell.
It was
close
up there.
to it.
It was the tallest cage I've ever seen by miles. Honestly, though, with that, because we gotta honor Terry Funk here too.
Yeah.
But last one before we do, Aussie Open versus the Hardys, and then of course everything that happened afterwards. Shad, what'd you think of this one? I know we've talked about. It's hard to knock Hall of Famers, but man, it's getting tough.
Man, you giving me all the stuff that I didn't like on this episode.
I'm sorry, that's not my fault. Ben made the topics.
They create the best reels, the ones you hate.
All right, so match itself. I mean, this is the Hardys in 2023 at this point, man. They're a shell of what they used to be. You know, they're not as limber, they're not as skinny, they're not as youthful. They got a lot of, mileage on their bodies, and it's just the match itself was not one that I was super, wowed about. It was an okay match. It wasn't the worst match, but it was an okay match. It didn't draw me in, but my fear going into it when they had the match, I was like, I wonder if they're gonna let the Hardys win this and just swerve it to make it be the Hardys versus MJF and Cole, just because, I mean, we are all prisoners of the moment, man. As soon as we hear the Hardy Boy theme song and them doing the little Jeff Hardy doing the dance, the crowd would have went crazy. But I think the right team won. It's a good win for the Aussie Open. And then we get to this, face-off between them, MJF and Adam Cole. And the main part is, Adam Cole going for the super kick. The guy, I don't remember the guys on the team's name, which is not good. But ducks and MJF grabs his leg. And you see it as just this continuation of dual, like, we have that tag match, but we have this title match between them two. And we're seeing what's going to happen, man. Like, you're seeing the fraction between them as, tag team partners week by week by week, breaking more. And they're really kind of on this, can I trust you? Can I not trust you? And it's starting to make you feel like, even with the going earlier in the show with the two backstage segments with Renee Paquette interviewing them, it kind of got me feeling like Adam Cole might be the one to actually have the swerve and turn on MJF. I feel like his, it may not be a quote unquote babyface move, and it may be more of a heel tactic, but I kind of feel like there may be a situation where he aligns with the Kingdom and Roddy, and he kind of turns on MJF, and it, we continuously, maybe a situation where MJF kind of still is champ, but he's kind of more of the baby face in this situation at the end of it. So I'm drawn into this feud, of course. I think it was a cool ending, especially with that final moment. And that's all I got to say about that.
This is so funny because this is totally a conversation for another time, but I think you're actually spot on with the Adam Cole heel turn idea there. I think that's just logical at this point, the way the crowd reacts to Max every time he comes out. And then someday we get the scum of the earth fully back again. Yeah. I think that's what we lead to, because if there's one thing that can make you hate someone, it's them being really nice and then taking the rug out from under you. And Max can totally do that, I think, as well as anybody I've ever seen in this business. And I'm hoping for that. With that, though, let's honor the man, the legend, Terry Funk. Rest in peace. Last true desperado. It's one of those people that is, if he's not on your Mount Rushmore, you haven't done your homework. And it's not just about that. If you hear the stories about how much the people that knew him loved him and how much he loved them, that's what makes Terry Funk even more of a legend than others that we've covered in the past. Terry his heart was gigantic. He took care of the wrestlers of the next generation for years. He blazed a trail for wrestlers for generations. And almost everyone I've ever heard that was ever around him loved the man. And that is even bigger than what he accomplished inside the ring, right? It's hard to quantify the impact he had on this world, and forever a legend. And forever one of my heroes. Absolutely. And I'm going to toss it over to you, Anthony, and give us some more on Terry Funk's history and just how you're feeling on the whole thing. You know, I mean, I know you're a huge Terry Funk fan and fan of the Funk family.
Yes. Terry is arguably there've been so many legends in this business, but I can't really think of another legend that literally was beloved by everybody. You never, ever hear anybody said anything negative about Terry Funk. Even in shoot interviews, people that hate everybody in the business, they never say anything negative about Terry Funk. I would say Terry was probably the most unselfish legend that there's ever been. Like, Terry got over, but Terry never screwed anybody over. Like, Terry didn't play the politics game. He gave everything, both on and off screen. You know, he hardcore wrestling, ECW, was built on the foundation of Terry Funk. Terry Funk gave legitimacy to ECW. Todd Gordon has said it. Heyman has said it. Everyone has said how important Terry Funk was. We know how close Terry Funk was to Mick Foley, to Tommy Dreamer, to Bubba Ray Dudley. He was like a second father to these people. Like he did that with everybody. Todd Gordon, I'm actually reading his autobiography now. And one of the things that's in the book, funny enough, is a story where it's back in ECW. They're in the locker rooms before a show. And he doesn't say, I don't believe he said who the performer was. He says a young wrestler came in for the show. And he's backstage and he comes in and he's holding his neck. And Terry goes, "What's wrong?" And the kid says, "Oh, my neck's bothering me." He goes, and Terry's like, "You should get that looked at." And the kid said, I don't have insurance, Mr. Funk. And he goes, "Well, you do the car insurance thing." He went, I don't know what you mean. And Terry went, "Sit down, grasshopper." He goes, "This is what you do. You rent a car. You get the most expensive insurance they get. Then you ram that thing into a pole and you hold your neck." And, you know, that's classic Terry Funk, that he would know the tricks of the trade. And you kind of wonder, like, how many times did Terry do this? You know, and I remember I met Terry at a convention in the ECW arena in 2016. And it was a long line for Terry. I didn't care. It's Terry Funk. I got to meet Terry Funk. It's a legend. No one complained. I finally get up. I sit at the table with Terry. I get a picture with him. I get him to sign my WWE 50 book, the biggest signature possible. He took, I'm like really, Terry, the whole page. But I'm trying to finish up with Terry. Terry keeps wanting to talk. Meanwhile, I'm getting the evil eye from everybody else in line staring at me. And I'm going, it's Terry Funk. I can't tell Terry Funk, shut up, I gotta go. Like, no, you stay as long as Terry Funk wants you to stay. So, you know, I just remember that. And then I remember that night he appeared at Tommy Dreamer's House of Hardcore show. And he came out and he cut a promo that scared the living daylights out of everybody in the crowd. He made it sound like he was dying. You know, he said, "I don't know if I'm ever going to get back here." Everyone was freaking out. Everybody's like, "Is Terry Funk dying?" Like, I don't know what that is. So they had to make an announcement, you know, about Tommy Dreamer the next day. He's like, "No, Terry's just in bed. Terry's all right. Just, it's okay. Terry will be fine." But I just remember, and he's such a legend. And I remember the dumpster match from WrestleMania 14 is one of my most fond memories of Terry. But I want to give Shad a chance to talk, because I could talk about Terry all day. But go ahead, Shad. I'm sorry about that.
Shad, I'm going to toss it over to you.
Yeah, man. Nah, Terry Funk, man. I had to text my older brother last night after I heard the news because he was a big Terry Funk fan growing up, and I mean, I'm Mick Foley is one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, and just the matches between them together was something that was incredible to see, man. Like just hearing all the stories and just how much he's traveled and made an impact on so many different wrestling promotions, man. Like it's tough, man. We've seen legends upon legends this year fall and leave, man, and this is a guy who's done so much for the wrestling business, and he's definitely going to be missed, man. And ECW One Night Stand too with the 6-person match, that too, man. Like it's a tough one, man.
Absolutely. And with that, I unfortunately have to deliver some awful news myself. According to Wrestling Republic, Wyndham Rotunda Bray Wyatt has passed away today. At such a young age, and this is not news I want to deliver on air. And goodness gracious, I wish the absolute best for him and his family, and JoJo and everyone around him. It's just horrible news. We don't necessarily have any details or anything else. It's just keep him in your thoughts and prayers. And man, has it been a tough week for the wrestling community when it comes to losses of people that just made an incredible impact on this industry and on what we do and what we love to talk about. And man, it just I wish the absolute best for the Rotunda family and Bray and everyone around him in that situation, as well as, honoring a legend like Terry Funk as well. It's just life's unfair at times, and this is one of those situations where it's really difficult to talk about, and it's life's hard, man. It's hard to quantify. From all of us here at Wrestling Republic, all love again to I can't say it enough, to both the Funks and the Rotundas. This is just absolutely tragic news, especially to happen at a time like this. But we thank you guys for joining us. I know we would normally have a couple of minutes left in the show, but
rest in peace, Bray Wyatt, man.
Yes, sir, Shad.
I feel very empty right now, bro.
Yeah,
Bray Wyatt. I can't. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna say any bad words. Wow.
It really is tragic to see yet another young wrestler cut down in his prime. I mean, we've seen this in the past couple of years. Brody Lee, who's very close to Bray. We lost him. We lost Jay Briscoe earlier this year. It's horrible when you see that happen, because he had so much potential and so much left to give. And, it's happened in wrestling where people have passed in their prime. We talked about him a couple of weeks ago, Bruiser Brody on a Throwback Topic, another one that was cut down in his prime. But the time that they did have, they left a mark. And Bray left a mark on this business. His legacy will live on through everybody that watched him, good, bad, indifferent, whatever you want to call it. Bray gave his heart to the business. Whether you liked him or you didn't matter. He gave, and you got to respect that. So, as a wrestling fan, even if I didn't like some of the stuff that they did with the character, the Fiend or whatever, I always respected Bray. And, this is tragic to have to see another legend or future potential legend in this business lose his life. It's obviously we don't know the details. Like, we're not getting into any of that. Obviously, we don't know it anyway, but it's hard. And to be able to, literally, we just lost Terry last night. We're messed up as it is to cover it, and you get hit with
and so young,
and you get hit with another one. I mean, there was talk that he was in. They had health issues. Unofficially, we heard stuff, but that doesn't make this any easier, because it's never easy, but especially when somebody's so young,
It's absolutely tragic.
that's what's tragic about it.
Absolutely tragic. And we intended to honor Terry Funk, and we did the best we could. And the news obviously came during the show, and we apologize. And rest in peace to both absolute wrestling legends
and to their families,
as well as Bray Wyatt. And man, what a wild episode! But thank you guys so much for joining us. I'm not going to do the like and subscribe thing. That doesn't seem appropriate right now.
No.
Please have an awesome day. Hug your family, and hold your friends tight, and just remember that for sure.
Pray for the families of.
Yep.
Keep them in your thoughts, man. For fun.
And
the Thunder family, yeah.
We'll talk to you all soon for sure. Thank you so much. On behalf of Wrestling Public, Shad and Anthony, signing off.